Right now, without any warning, your body can do something completely absurd. A cold gust, a sad song, a memory that hits a little too hard, and suddenly your skin tightens into 1,000 tiny bumps, and the hair on your arm stands straight up. Here's the absurd part. Your body just tried to fluff up a coat of fur, fur that vanished from your skin almost 2 million years ago. You are the proud owner of a reflex built to raise hair you don't have. So why is it still there? Why does your body keep sounding an alarm for a coat that's long gone? And why, of all things, does a violin set it off? Because the answer isn't really about your skin at all. It's a 2 million-year-old ghost, still living in your body, and by the end of this, you'll feel it fire for exactly what it is. Let's start with what's actually happening when you get one. Every single hair on your body sits in a tiny pit in your skin, and attached to each one is a muscle so small you could never see it. It's called the arrector pili, and it has exactly one job: to yank that hair upright. When thousands of them contract at the same instant, every hair snaps to attention, and the skin around each one puckers into the little bump you know so well. That's a goosebump. It isn't your skin doing something strange. It's an army of microscopic muscles standing your hairs up like soldiers. And for most animals on Earth, that is a genuinely brilliant thing to be able to do. Picture a cat that has just spotted a dog. In a fraction of a second, it seems to double in size. Back arched, tail bristling, fur exploding outward in every direction. That is the exact same system, all those tiny muscles firing at once. Because a frightened animal with its fur standing on end looks bigger, more dangerous, harder to swallow. And sometimes that bluff alone is enough to make a predator decide you're not worth it. But raising your fur does a second job too. On a freezing morning, standing all that hair upright traps a thick layer of warm air right against the skin, exactly like fluffing up a down jacket. So a furry animal gets two gifts from one simple trick. It can look terrifying and it can stay warm. For a creature covered in a coat, goosebumps are a masterpiece. But here is where you come in. Because somewhere between 2 and 3 million years ago, our ancestors did something almost no other mammal has ever done. They lost the coat. As early humans became endurance hunters, chasing prey for hours across hot, open grassland until the animal simply overheated and collapsed, all that thick fur turned into a death trap. It held heat in exactly when the body was desperate to dump it. So evolution made a trade. It stripped away the fur and covered us in millions of sweat glands instead. And we became the strangest primate alive, the naked one. But evolution is messy, and it almost never cleans up after itself. It deleted the fur, and it completely forgot to delete the muscles. So they're still there. Every one of them. Which means that today, every time you step into the cold, or a wave of fear hits you, those millions of tiny muscles still fire, still pull with all their might, and stand up hairs that are barely even there. You get the bump, and you get absolutely nothing else. No warmer, no bigger, no scarier. It's a reflex performing its heart out for an audience that walked out 2 million years ago. A ghost of a coat you will never wear. And that is already strange enough, but it doesn't explain the part that should really stop you. The fact that a feeling can set it off. The cold at least makes sense. That's a temperature reflex, ancient and mechanical. But fear? Awe? A song? Why on earth would those raise your hair? The answer is a chemical you've felt 1,000 times: adrenaline. When your ancestors were suddenly threatened, a shape in the grass, a snarl in the dark, their bodies flooded with adrenaline. Heart hammering, pupils blown wide, muscles primed to run. And that very same surge fired the fur muscles, puffing the whole coat up to make them look bigger in the face of danger. That wiring never left. So when a horror film spikes your adrenaline today, your body faithfully runs the old program. Puff up, look bigger, scare it off. You just happen to have no fur left to puff. All that's left of the ancient threat display is the chill running down your arms. And then there's music, which might be the strangest trigger of all. Somewhere between half and two-thirds of people get goosebumps from a song. That swelling chorus, that key change, the moment a voice cracks in exactly the right place. Scientists have a name for it, Frisson. And here's what's happening in your head. Your brain is a relentless prediction machine. As a piece of music plays, it is constantly, silently guessing the next note. When the music breaks that prediction in just the right way, resolving into something better than you expected, your brain's reward center releases a hit of dopamine, the very same chemical behind food and love and everything else it decides is worth wanting. And here's the detail that should give you chills about your chills. The dopamine starts rising a few seconds before the big moment even arrives, because your brain can feel it coming. In 2020, a team of scientists at Harvard, led by a researcher named Ya-Chieh, took that useless story and turned it completely upside down. They traced the goosebump system all the way down to its wiring, and they found that the tiny fur muscle isn't just a leftover at all. It's a bridge. It physically connects the nerve that fires in the cold to the stem cells that grow brand new hair. And they discovered that when an animal stays cold for a long time, that same system does something remarkable. It doesn't just raise the fur that's already there, it signals those stem cells to grow an entire new coat. In other words, the muscle lost its first job, fluffing up fur, hundreds of thousands of years ago. Which is the part that gets me. You spend your whole life thinking a goosebump is nothing, a shiver, a quirk, a glitch. And underneath it sits a piece of machinery so old and so deep that we only figured out its real job a handful of years ago. So the next time a cold wind, or a memory, or a piece of music you love sends that familiar wave rippling across your skin, stop for just a second and notice what is actually happening. Your body is reaching for a coat that isn't there. It's running a program written for an animal that hasn't existed for 2 million years, standing up hairs that barely exist to face down a threat that turned out to be a song. You can't feel your ancestors. You can't remember the fur. But every time you get the chills, for one small moment, your skin remembers for you. If your Stone Age body just surprised you a little, subscribe. Because your body is full of these ghosts, and next, we're going to find another one hiding somewhere you'd never expect. I'll see you there.